Oh, you people. Oh, you people. Oh my God, so many bad things are happening here. So many bad things are happening. One of them is a new thing that was added. And that concerns me. That concerns me. So what's happening is I added a thing yesterday or sometime that takes care of when objects are getting scraped off of other objects, like when they're getting carried. And the problem now is it sees me on the lily pad, it sees the rock in the square ahead of me on the lily pad. And it says, oh, he's not going to be able to go into that square that he's trying to be carried into, except that I can just fine go there because of this frickin' rock. So, we may have to do something hardcore about this. I don't know. We're going to just start looking at it a little more. So this is, I came to this level because there was a bug way back a few days ago that like I wrote down on the piece of paper. Maybe that bug still happens. Maybe we fixed it, but this is worse because this will cause all sorts of bad, like see how I pushed this and now I'm somehow a block away from it? It's because of this double move thing that's happening. And then the second one is committing and teleporting me back to where I was, probably. So like, it's a problem. It's a problem. Anywho, there's also another bug there, which is that a person of that size cannot stand on a lily pad. They will sink. Well, little do you know that this guy has a quantum machine where he could see the future. So he could see exactly the places on the lily pad where the quantum fluctuations will respond to his weight in the appropriate way, such as to keep him floating, right? That is what you don't understand about this video game. If you understood video games, you would know that that is how it is. Okay, so I know in principle why this happens now because I frickin' added this code. The question is it easy to make it not happen or is it going to be a frickin' nightmare to make it not happen? And the answer is, I don't know. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to try, since we're waiting for people to show up in the stream, we're going to try downloading the new version of Remedy. And we're just going to see if it still crashes on us, just as an experiment. And if it does, no big deal. God damn it. itch.io doesn't... I don't know what my fucking password is there. Why did I buy something on itch.io? Like, I put my password in the browser like a week ago. Like, what? Oh my God. Oh, wait. Now it sees it. I don't know what's going on. 304, is that what this one is? 303, all right. So we're gonna get 304 and we're gonna see what happens with it. All right, so extract all. Like Remedy should just be on Steam. As much as Steam has problems, like it'd be better. All right, now fucking. All right. So now I have to do all this stuff again. All right. Wait, that's for session files. Oh, I do this. All right. I always forget because it's been a few days since I've used this. Okay. For some reason, it takes Remedy longer to start the game. Like, I don't know if it's something about like dealing with DLLs that load or something, but like it takes it substantially longer than Visual Studio for some reason. Whatever happens. All right. We're going to go to move transaction. And okay, it remembered my font sizes and my scroll bar size, so that's good. That's better than Visual Studio often does. I'm looking for this thing. Support update stationary move. This is the thing that's happening that should not be happening. Okay, flat UI is a fucking plague. Can we just fix this? Like, I don't know. If I click here, it doesn't do anything. And then as I move the cursor left, at some magical point, it puts the thing. Like, can we just put a phantom circle under the cursor? Can we turn the cursor into an arrow? Can we do something? I mean, these are all small things that'll get better. It's a new program, but man, it's just like, I feel like we wouldn't have these problems to begin with if all these bad UI paradigms hadn't shown up and ruined everything. Be grateful there are still visible scroll bars. Oh, that's true. That is true. Yeah, be grateful that he actually made it possible. I requested that it become possible for these to get bigger, and that happened. So that was good. So here's my question, folks. If I'm talking about eliminating software complexity, it's the year 2020. Everybody runs between 60 hertz and like 240 hertz on their monitors, and that's only going to go up. So like, should hardware cursor actually even be a thing anymore? Because if you draw a software cursor, you don't have this discrepancy between like where it looks like it is and where it actually is. And because you're drawing it every frame, it's a lot easier to just change the shape or do whatever you want to it. Whereas doing all this operating system bullcrap that's different on every operating system to like change the cursor if I go over the scroll bar, that's why this program isn't doing that. It's because it's a giant pain in the ass. Is it possible that I still have debug heap enabled? I might have it, whatever the registry setting is that you do for that probably is set here. because it's a new computer and I haven't done all that stuff. I mean, new meaning I started using it like a month and a half ago and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I don't think that that would be different between Revity and Visual Studio. If every application has a different looking cursor, that might also be a little annoying. No. It's actually, you would see programs be much better about the cursor. Like, I don't know. Except software sucks and often doesn't even run at 60 FPS and your cursor will lag and you'll go insane. That is true. That is definitely true. So I take that suggestion back. Okay, so we're here. So we made these move attempts. So, okay. The problem is that I have an ordered dependency So again, what's happening is it's trying to move these, and it's trying to move the guy before the stone. And it says, oh, he can't go. But then, okay, this is me being stupid, actually. Okay, because this code was originally written to try things in an arbitrary order. The reason there's these attempts is it removes a guy from the attempts list if he can go, right? And then breaks when we make progress. So now this thing that I added, because I was stupid and my IQ was 73 when I added this, it should be down here. So let's just do that. This might be a lot easier than I thought. Because this already does, I was smart one day. I had an IQ of 101 one day. And then later I had an IQ of 73. So I would even go so far as to say my IQ was like 101.5 on this day. This day, maybe my IQ was even 71. Okay. That's how this happened. Can I check my VC project to see if I have the debug heap set to off in Visual Studio settings? I could do that, but I hate Visual Studio so much that I'm not even going to try to figure out how to do that. Break in malloc and remedy. We could do that. We could do that. What caused remedy to crash before? What caused it to crash was that our compiler for a certain kind of statement, which there aren't any of on this screen, but there's a certain kind of compound assignment that gets desugared into other stuff. And when I desugared it, I didn't maintain position information correctly. And so when we output the debugging information for the file, it's missing for those statements. And Visual Studio just says, hey, there's no debugging information. And Remedy kind of does that sometimes, but then sometimes it would crash. And so that was really annoying. He said he fixed some cases of that, but he didn't have a test case for it. Because I tried to make a small test case, and that small test case didn't actually crash Remedy. So we're just going to keep using it and see if it crashes at some point. All right, so let's break in malloc and then we'll fix this. So this is in move transaction. We're going to remember where it is. It's around line 1776, the year of founding of America, when people could still shoot guns, unlike today. when the Second Amendment has been watered down, especially in California. So it's around 1776. When I was a kid, it was bicentennial. It was like 1976. It was the anniversary of America. And there were fireworks shows all over the place. July 4th, 1976 had a lot of fireworks shows, let me tell you. Okay. So, let's break in malloc. Can I just go break new function breakpoint in malloc? Let's see if we should go there. Well, maybe I'm not calling it. Oh, there we go. Nope, that's here again. Let's get rid of this one. Let's reset the level. Nope. I feel like I am probably calling into malloc at some point, and it's just not finding it. Like, there's no way that there are 0 mallocs. Like, I don't malloc often, but like by the time I open the editor and do, like, there's mallocs happening. So I don't know. You miss guns so gosh darn diggity darn much. Dude, I took an all-day AR-15 class a few weeks ago. It was really fun. It was good times. I recommend it. Maybe it is so efficient it does not actually malloc ever. As the person who wrote most of this gameplay code, I can tell you that is not the case. There are some mallocs in there. Oh, although we might at this point, I don't think so. At some point, I was gonna link to some other malloc by default, like mi malloc. And we don't, but I don't think we currently do that, but maybe somebody set that up and I didn't notice. I don't know. But then, like, C libraries that we call would still be calling, like, I'm sure W-wise, like, mallocs a billion things. So, who knows, man? Who knows? Anyway, let's go to American 1776 and fix this. This is bullshit. It's supposed to be down here. And we don't need this if attempts here. That's bullshit. Dude, my IQ was like negative 542 on that day. Okay, so hopefully this problem won't happen anymore, but other problems will happen. Okay, so we're not getting that error message. That's great. Before we go, I just want to go back here and recreate the original reason why we put that and make sure that still works, which is just if we do this, okay, that's correct, right? It was like scraping stuff off onto other objects was not working like that. And you can't make Steven sausage roll puzzles unless you can do that, so. All right. One more thing, in exit remedy and shell set no debug heap equals 1, then relaunch remedy. Like, that's not going to work in shell because I don't launch remedy from shell. I launch it from here. But let's just go environment variables. Where? There we go. Thank God they haven't taken this out and replaced it with some fucking bullshit thing. If they do that, I'm going to try switching to Linux again. System variables. No debug heap equals 1. No debug heap equals 1. All right. Did I spell it right? Yes. Okay. So We're going to close remedies, close Liam Neeson's, open it up again. All right, let's see. Doesn't seem faster. But I honestly don't know. That could be our game doing a bunch of shit. Like every once in a while, startup just gets too slow and I have to go figure out why. And it's probably loading shaders. I don't fucking know. That's only enough time to run everything ever computed by a computer before the year of 1970 or whatever. Like, all right, let's see what other problems we can come up with on this level. Let's see if we can get it to do weird stuff like that. That is the thing that we noticed the other day. Okay. So if I do it when it's just before that line, that is a very weird... There's sort of two problems. There's sort of two problems. One is that it doesn't fall. And the other one is that when it does fall, it somehow goes between the lily pads. Let's work on the first one. Or maybe we should work on the second one because it'll be harder to repro later. All right, let's bump everything one square over and just be ready to do the thing. So, bam. Look how terrible that was. So like, let's do the falling between first, because if I do the not falling off the edge, we lose our repro case. And then maybe the falling between will happen sometime later. How did I fucking get... Like, it claims I'm on this lily pad on the right. And then I'm going to teleport, like, to the one before the... No, this time... No, yep. So that's really... Bad things are happening. Very bad things. All right. So why? Well, we can guess. We're pushing this, and then the lily is in the next square. You know what? Here. Let's just... I mean, we really probably don't need any of these. Let's see if that changes the behavior at all. Oh, I can't. No, it does, because, of course, I need that one. No, wait. No, I don't. I just, my Q is different. Just like my IQ is different. All right, so for sure, that is a solid repro. Let's get rid of other rocks. Let's get rid of all these things that might confuse us while we're debugging. I mean, screw it, dude. We're getting rid of so many things. We'll leave a little bit of land just for party times. So right about when that's going to cross the middle, we do that, and it hoses us. Very reproducible. All right, so right about when it crosses the middle. Okay, let's look at this. So we've got a guy pushing a rock on the top transaction, and that's going to commit before Lily's supporting two things. Now the rock has committed. I need a pause. I need a straight out pause. The rock has committed. Fuck. Give me time to look at these things. The rock is in pre-falling. Okay, I'm going to add a pause because I need to stand here and look at these for like a minute without them changing and think about what's actually happening. So we're going to add some key commands. So developer.keymap. So we have time rate -1, time rate +1. We'll have shift comma be pause, and shift period be pause false. Or, well, yeah, because it's related to slow fast, so it's worth burning 2 keys on it. So now we have to do a developer command. So here we have time rate. We can just make a new command called pause. Paused is a bool. And all we have to do, because of our metaprogram, is this. This is now a valid function that when we compile, gets detected in our program and its arguments get checked and all that. So this already works. Like that's all we had to do to make a new command and bind it to a key. So that's awesome. Now what does it do? Well, let's say game is paused, right? If paused, game report paused, else game report unpaused. See, this is like, it's so enjoyable when I just get to type exactly what I want and there's not like a bunch of crap. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Let's get rid of Visual Studio, speaking of a bunch of crap. All right. So I want wherever integer time offset is, that's in developer commands right up here. Game is paused, false. Oh, that's a local here because, oh, global time rate. Let's put it at global time rate. Okay. It's in time info. Game is paused. So global time rate. Does anyone force this to be a minimum from here? No. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Paused. Unpaused. Paused. See. Yeah, brace completion is the worst thing in the universe. Like, who ever asked for that? That's like it's like when somebody says we have to come up with some smart features that will help people. Did I remember to turn my headphones off? Because this is a modern headphones, I can't figure out if they're turned on or off without holding down the button for like 3 seconds. Like that kind of useless feature comes from like somebody has a bullet point that it's their job, right? All right, so, oh wait, I forgot to push it. Did I push it in time? I think so. Let's make sure it happens. Yep. So this is all very bad. is it going to go in between? Right, so I've got to remember what I'm debugging right now. Right now I'm debugging the in-between part. The initial bad part yeah, this part. So like, okay, this is not going. Okay, I understand what's going on here. So there's a rock here. It's not falling even. It's not marked as falling. Whoops. We don't draw status flags correctly, but it's not marked as falling. Why can't I click this and expand it? All right, that's UI work that we could do. So basically the rock is not being carried by the lily. Well, for some reason, the lily that's moving is not carrying this rock, probably because it's supported by ID has been cleared, which we don't draw in the editor right now. That's been cleared, so it's not being carried, but there is a rule, there's an explicit rule that says that if there's something here that fills squares, lilies do not go under it. That is an actual rule. So now I believe that then the reason this is happening is just because some malformed thing is happening because of the initial problem. Like something falling on lily pads wouldn't make this happen because it would actually land on them and be in a correct state. What's happening right now is we're getting into an incorrect state because of like weird crap. So like this is 2. 1 is the first piece of ground and 0. So it says my guy is going from 0 to 1, but he's being drawn way on the right. I don't understand why that is. That is really strange. Although it probably has to do with I mean, there's a bunch of logic about if you're stepping onto something or whatever. So that is, he is being drawn on top of the thing that he was stepping onto. I guess it's just been a while since that transaction committed. Okay, so this part, this falling into the middle actually does make sense to me. I mean, there may be better things that it could do. There certainly are better things that it could do, but it's not the root problem. The root problem is this other part. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we're pushing. Let's check this. We are going from 0 to 1. That's correct. We are pushing from 1 to 2. Okay. And this will commit before the lilies go. Okay, so the problem is, even though this will go before the lilies go, as soon as this goes, so we have a short window. We have like a 0.01 second window in here to observe. This thing is going to go into pre-falling. Let's see if we can do that. I need to draw the current frickin' time. It should be very soon. because we squinched it up. There. Okay, so now we're paused. So okay, this part I don't quite understand. The reason is this committed. Oh, okay. I don't know what to do about this. All right, here's the problem. Normally, this may require substantial rethinking about how falling works. So normally, when you're going to push something, let's just say you're on an island or something and you're pushing it, you don't really want it to start falling. Let's go, like say I'm on this island and I'm on this edge and I start pushing this thing. I don't want it to start falling here necessarily, because like visuals on that will look bad, right? If I'm being naive about it, like it would go down and penetrate the ground. But so what I do right now to get around that is I say I don't initiate the falling transaction until here. And the problem with that is that as soon as we're here, like as soon as we're here, we kind of need to occupy that bottom square, because if we wait till we're here, that's time during which the lily pads are just going to get under us again, right? But then like we broke our support from them, so it looks all effed up. Like, and even if we didn't break that support, we'd be in the wrong place because we're supposed to have pushed this off, right? So the problem is the fact that I let there be an interval between this time and this time during when I don't fall. If the lilies move under me during that interval, it's no good. And so what has to happen for the transaction system to work correctly? Well, okay, let me make this more clear. The low-level transaction system is working fine in this case. What is not working is the way that I create initial falling transactions when you push something off an edge. That part is not good. Now, all of this said, there are other reasons why we might want to start a falling transaction here anyway, because like if I'm pushing something and it starts going off an edge, maybe I want it to wobble or something, right? As a bit of visual feedback, or kind of tilt into the water and then fall, or tilt off an edge and then fall, right? Except the problem is earlier than that. Because like I said, okay, this part is not that good, but it's actually not really the problem. Because even if this doesn't fall down, like I said, there's a rule that should prevent lily pads from trying to go under this guy, right? The real problem is this guy is going here, and the lily pad already decided to go under him. And so it probably wouldn't matter if we filled the water square under prematurely or not, or like at this time or not. So whereas we may want to change the way falling works, and we probably will, I don't think that's going to solve this problem. The problem is more like we've got a conflict. Remember in the earlier stream today, when I said this flat versus non-flat thing can cause us problems? This is one example. I think. So let me think about this. If I didn't have that flat versus non-flat, that when I started pushing this, these transactions would conflict because I don't have a good way to turn on my cursor. But if you look at the top, the rock is going into 2,8,0, and a lily pad is going into 2,8,0, right? Well, and actually, now that this one is committed, the rock is already there. And that should be bad. That should be a conflict. That conflict should probably have required us to commit the lily transaction early before pushing this rock. But we're not generating it. Because of that flat versus non-flat rule. So we're going to have to revisit that. Like the flat versus non-flat was sort of a thing that I added so that I wouldn't have to think that hard when it came to making player transactions work. But now I actually need to think about it, and I'm not in the mood to think today. You need a transaction in timeline? I mean, they're drawn from top to bottom. I don't know what you want. Maybe have lily pads go back in time in the special case. You don't want things going back in time. That's not really that good. Well, you could push the commit time later, but once something is committed, you can't undo it. That's just not a thing. It seems like the block should maintain the same inertia as the lily pads and still be a part of them. Dude, we had a 5-hour long discussion about this, and it's on YouTube, and you can go watch that. Suggestions about, if you haven't seen that, suggestions, if you don't understand everything Sean and I said intimately, suggestions are actually not helpful because this system has to do a ton of things. And thinking too much about a special case isn't helpful, because if you say, why don't you just solve this by blah, 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 right? The answer is because of the 3,700 other things that the game has to do, and the same system has to handle all of them consistently together, right? So you can't just look at this and say, oh, well, you should just blah. It's not how this works. Not how this works. Okay. So really the way that this normally would be handled is that these two would conflict. Then, because they conflict, we would flush everything, which would commit the lily thing, which would carry both of these entities. Because they're supported by the lily, it would carry them forward one. And then when I push the thing, oh, this would be really bad. Okay. See, we have a problem that I didn't consider. Oh, no, it's not. Never mind. I was thinking that we would issue a new lily transaction, but you don't. You don't issue the new lily transaction until this one visually completes, which is separate from the commit. So you commit it. It's in visual only mode after you commit it. And then it would be fine to push the thinger. So the question is this flat versus non-flat thing, what's it doing for me right now? And can I avoid it? So what it's doing for me right now, like normally, if I'm walking around on lily pads, it would just work to disable that thing. It's just that lily transactions would commit early all the time if I'm just walking on them. And that would have bad consequences for levels where you're like walking on lilies and avoiding a dragon or something. So that's what we're trying to do, is have good game feel in those cases. Now, I guess what we can say is that we don't need to worry about it if I mean, it doesn't matter if we commit before or after the lily transaction, I don't think. Because the problem is just that we picked coordinates that the lilies are going to be in. So the real question is anything going to fall off, right? So what we can do is say, if the position that everything is moving into is on a lily, on I mean, okay, the super conservative version is, are all positions in both the set of source lily positions and target lily positions, right? That covers the common case of or, I mean, that's not even it, because, you know, you could, if you're pushing something onto the land, that's not going to matter either, because the lily's not going to go there. Okay, what I really should say is, if it's the lily transaction, and I'm pushing the thing onto water, then it conflicts. That's pretty straightforward, and I have a function called is moving onto water. Otherwise, it won't conflict for now, and we'll deal with other problems at some time later. Like I said, there's a frickin' 5-hour thing on YouTube that explains all of this, if anyone wants to watch it. In fact, let me go find it and link it for your further information. My channel. Here we go. We sure said a lot of things. I won't blame you for not watching it if you don't want, because it's pretty long. But we talk in depth about things. And yet, there's so much more we could have said. Can I quickly tell you where approximately I discussed the solution to the two crossing lilies? Actually, that is not in that video. But I did mention it on last night's stream, which is not uploaded to YouTube. But if you go watch the VOD from yesterday, there's a point where Sean comes on voice again, and we talk voice-wise. I should call Dan Ben-Mergi for the next conversation. Maybe. I mean, the stuff that he does, I mean, he's making a game in frickin' Unity right now, so I don't exactly know what we would have to say, because I don't know anything about Unity. Okay, you know what? I was going to make some tea, and then I was like, I'm going to go bust open this bottle of chartreuse and have some of that, except I might have opened this one before. Except I like to do chartreuse on ice, and I don't have any ice. So I think I just turned on the ice maker in my freezer, and we'll see how long it takes to make ice, if it actually functions correctly. If not, then maybe I'll just put the chartreuse in the freezer for a little bit in order to chill it. Oh, I have opened this bottle before. It's kind of stuck though. It's been a while. Been a while since I opened it. This has become a 21 and up stream. ESRB warning, alcohol reference. That is quality. Quality. Let's see, bring it closer to camera. How close do we need to get? Let me see. We have a very small camera picture. That is what it is, what we are doing right now. For Twitch staff. Does chartreuse go well with chocolate? Let's find out. With peppermint chocolate. It's all right. Oh, my refrigerator's doing things. We may have ice. Eventually. Chartreuse is normally too sweet for you on its own. Were you drinking chartreuse yellow or chartreuse green? Green is not that sweet. Alcohol 55% by volume. I mean, why would you drink an alcoholic drink that doesn't have alcohol in it? You know? You don't know what color it was? If you were drinking it straight, you couldn't look at it and see the color? You thought chartreuse was already a color. Yes. So, okay. So for people who don't know, the history, this alcohol is hundreds of years old. This bottle is not hundreds of years old, but the recipe itself is made or was historically made in a monastery in France from a secret recipe. It is old enough that the color chartreuse is named after the drink. The drink is not named after the color, okay? If your drink has a color named after it, you're doing okay. You know what I'm saying? The guy who named that color was drunk, quite possibly. Quite possibly. Am I drinking vegetable oil? Not that I'm aware of. Okay. I don't think I have ice yet. Let me check. Nope. It's going to take a while, probably. If it even works. Dude, I haven't had that refrigerator make ice for the entire 2 years and 3 months that I've been living in this apartment. If your video game has a color named after it, you're doing okay. That is true. If I ever can have a video game with a color named after it, that'll be great. Why do I have this application as Sogoban? Oh, okay, that's why. All right, resolve. So we have this flat and non-flat. So this is, we're saying if theirs is flat and ours is not flat, let's just say if moving onto water, I think that's what it's called. We need to commit the lily to ensure we are pushing from the right spot. No check-in. We can enhance accuracy by testing whether... Oh, no, that's fine, actually. Let's try that. I don't remember what arguments moving on to water takes. Let's see if that compiles. Nope. What moving onto water, entity and target position. Like that. Move info, you or... See, that naming difference is very confusing. I already feel mildly drunk, by the way, from 2 tiny sips of chartreuse, which is one reason why I like it so much. This drink doesn't fuck around. It says it's 55% alcohol by volume, but it feels like 372% alcohol by volume, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so that was visually quite objectionable, but it was gameplay correct. Okay, so like, see, we actually, we'll try to fix the objectionable part again. But like, so watch, when I push this, see the Lily transaction is committed already. We committed it. So we have a pre-falling that's going horizontal. I forget why I introduced pre-falling, but that's what, like, okay, pre-falling is probably using the physical position and not the visual position, which is why it's snapping back. Let me look at that. You wonder if I'm an angry drunk or a happy drunk. I think I'm just more like a stupid drunk. I am generally not angry, and so I don't get angry when I'm drunk. Even if I'm ranting about something, it's not like I'm angry. Like, ranting about people's stupid code or whatever, I'm not actually angry about that stuff. There are a few things that actually make me angry in the world. Well, I guess they are related, but you know, people who should not be teaching people things in an incorrect, teaching people things that are wrong, and knowing that they're not necessarily qualified to do it, but doing it anyway, drives me up the wall. It's just one of the things about my personality. Like, it makes me very upset. So if I happened to drink a lot while I was thinking about that or confronting that, I might be an angry drunk, but normally I wouldn't be. What's the most drunk we have programmed? I almost never drink. Like, literally the last time I had an alcoholic drink was probably 3 months ago or more. Like, I just don't drink. On a scale of 71 to 101.5, what I say my IQ is. I think it's dropped to about 100.9, but it's going to keep going down. It'll especially go down if we get some ice, let me tell you that. Have I ever considered teaching? I have taught stuff before. Like, I used to be a teaching assistant and help people out with stuff in college. I like doing it. And I mean, I'm essentially doing teaching when I go give speeches about game design or programming or whatever, right? It's just a different format. Okay, let's take a look at this pre-falling. Well, to make sure, like, I'm pretty sure that the code that I did here is making this happen, but let's actually code kicked in. So I just want to see a message on the screen when this happens, because I could just be getting the timing wrong when I'm trying to repro this or whatever, right? I mean, it's not very hard timing to hit, but you know, it could be. So I just want to see that. There we go. Code kicked in. Why it kicked in 3 times, I'm not sure, but that's fine. Boom, we went around. That's a good level. Maybe we'll do that one tonight. Planning on doing any compiler stuff soon? Yeah, probably. Had one new girl teaching another new person. The new person correctly thought they should drop a pallet because they granted a pallet. I don't know what granted a pallet means. But yeah, I mean, if you have new people teaching new people, well, they're going to teach them wrong things sometimes. That's how that works. Is that eating water tiles? It is eating river flow tiles. So the lighter tiles here are active water flow, and the darker ones are essentially standing water, right? Grabbed a pallet. Because you feel so strongly about unqualified teachers, do you have some sort of moral or ethical drive to teach? Well, I mean, sort of, but there's also there are definitely ways that I could use my time more effectively or less effectively, right? And maybe teaching is not the most effective. It's pretty hard to be louder than a million unqualified people. That is true. Spoken like a true speak. Spoken in Hoboken. Okay. You're considering talks, streaming, etc. as teaching? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I just want to get maybe some better information out into the world. But like giving speeches and stuff is also one of the major ways that I figure out what I actually think about things. So it's useful to me in that way. All right, someone's getting inflammatory. Oh, I'm glad you're getting stuff out of the talks. Some people like them, some people do not, but maybe the people who don't are just a bunch of sillies. Okay, so that pre-falling, let's take a look at that. What did I even add that for? So pre-fall, update pushed position. When do I say go do pre-falling? If we physically moved and we're not supported, and our visual position is very far from our start position. Okay. So this is just saying interpolate us. This is just saying do a horizontal visual interpolation, I guess. And so we're just setting it up incorrectly. I don't know why we don't just do that during falling. Like this doesn't This doesn't seem really good to me. You know what? Because you shouldn't, like this has a gameplay effect because we add a new transaction that has some time to elapse when you're like hovering in the air. And so I feel like maybe this is just old, like I added this to Band-Aid around something before. But this does not seem like a good idea to me. And I also had on my to-do list, remove pre-fall question mark. So we'll see. We'll see if this is fine. We'll try Benny testing with this turned off. It's great if we can remove this because we get rid of all this. And then we just have falling correct your visual position at the beginning. That's actually a thing that I would like to move on to do tonight is for pushes and falls and stuff, you can anchor people toward the beginning of the square in cases where they start off pretty far off it. Yeah, Samo's a smart guy. I've hung out with him a couple times. He gives speeches sometimes, of course, not in coronavirus time, but see, that's probably much better without the pre-fall. Look at that. Look how much better that is without the pre-fall. Let's try just messing with the timing a few times. Just randomly at various times pushing the thing. So if this works, we're just going to try Benny testing without any pre-fall. Let's put back our whole raft. So that's much more consistent. We still have this thing about, let's put in a question about that, about which lily wins if two are trying to go into the same direction. And I think it should be, I think a rule that people could understand and that would make sense is that lilies that are going straight will win. Like if you're going around a corner relative to where you were, then you get a lower priority. That makes sense, right? Or maybe, and then maybe if you're going to go around a corner, so if the flow in the target square is a different direction, then maybe that also reduces your priority. We'll play with that. I have that on the list now. See, as we do things, we put more things on the list, and you know, eventually things are still a little bit gimpy sometimes when I go around corners here. We need to write that down. Gimpy, lily, running. Why is that gimpy? It's probably because I'm starting one of the transactions at my physical position and not my visual position again. See that? It's probably like when we bump forward, yeah, we'll see. Gimpy lily running. Maybe we should do that next. Okay, firstly, we're going to Benny test. And if it works, then I'm happy because we like fixing bugs. How is level wrapping done? It's done in the stupidest way possible. Do you mean for gameplay or do you mean for rendering? Because those are slightly different. What do I think is the best way to solve the slowness of modern software? I have a speech that I will give about that Casey disagrees with, but I will give it anyway with some modifications. Graphics-wise, we just draw the scene 9 times. All right, I am gonna chill some chartreuse in the freezer. Just like I ask people to remind me not to oversteep my tea, remind me to grab my chartreuse out of the freezer. It will never freeze. Okay, well maybe that's not a danger then. When I have to work independently, do I give myself tasks like literally being my own boss? Well, I mean, I have to-do lists, so like, you know, I write down things that I should kind of do sometime soon, and then I cross them off. It's pretty simple though. Do I have an opinion on code review, like line by line scrutinizing on a web UI? We don't bother with that. I mean, there are times when somebody else wrote a system or knows it very well, and you make some changes and you're not sure about them, and you're like, hey man, could you go look at this, right? So we've done that sometimes. We don't do it usually, and we definitely don't require it. Why is striking off list items so satisfying? I don't know, but it is. It is much more satisfying to cross out a list on a piece of paper than it is to like delete a line from a file. And that's why I don't keep to-do lists in files, I think. And like it matters for your psychology. Like the difference between those things matters. Like your body understands crossing something off on a piece of paper, and your body doesn't understand deleting something mysteriously from a file and it doesn't exist anymore. And the thing is, it's really your body that you're trying to convince, or, you know, parts of your brain that are so deep they might as well be your body, right? Code review is more important the more people and more skill range you have. Well, yes, like if you have somebody who's definitely a beginning programmer or an intermediate programmer, you should do more review, that's for sure. That is a thing. But like, if you have too many beginner or intermediate programmers, that's a bad scene. Bad scene. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you want to make sure your code reviews are not like code review theater, like security theater at the airport, right? You want to make sure, like if you think about it, your code review is eating the time of 2 people, right? It's like a meeting with 2 people in it that is guaranteed not to produce any output. All it can do is improve people's knowledge so that they can do things after, right? And so you want to look at how long they take and what the benefits really are. When in my career did I find I was intermediate and advanced, respectively? That's really hard. Like, I thought I was advanced when I was in college, right? But today I'm tremendously better programmer than I was when I was in college. So your criteria for what's intermediate and advanced. Wow, my language processing is already being affected by having had some chartreuse, right? Your criteria for what's intermediate and what is advanced probably will change, because when you're earlier in your experience, you can't see the higher end. You don't know what's up there in terms of ability. And so it's easy to think, it's kind of like Dunning-Kruger, but not necessarily as bad. Like, you just think you're pretty good because you're better than everyone around you, right? Do I think I'll look back at myself in 10 years feeling the same? I hope so. I'm not sure. Like, here's the thing. I definitely remember very clearly some things that I was programming, let's say 6 or 7 years ago. And I'm probably a little better than then, but I'm not tremendously better. So maybe it becomes harder and harder to get better. But then again, it's hard to say because I'm not living those minutes right now. So maybe I am a lot better now. $2 hours of nothing for 30 salaries. Yeah, that's very, any kind of meeting that has a lot of people is super expensive and terrible, and you want to avoid it. Do I think I'll ever set a hard stop and retire? Do I think I'll still program after retirement? I mean, I think you want to keep your brain alive and active, and programming and working on games is a good way to do that. Will I be trying to bench press 800 pounds with my brain every day like I am right now? I don't know. I don't know how much longer I can do this, honestly. Like, writing a compiler and a game engine and designing a game at the same time is hard. And having them all be really good, by the way, not having some of them be, oh, I don't care how good this is. Like, it's hard. And I guess I can still do it, but can I do this when I'm 70? I don't know. I hope so. But the smart money is maybe not. Fortunately, because I don't have kids, I didn't turn into whatever. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it, but when men stop being men because they have a kid, like that thing. I don't think kids are a waste of time. We need them to perpetuate the human species. And in some sense, I would be happy to have kids now. I didn't want to for a long time because I was just really worried I was very concerned that I needed to get certain things done. But now I'm like, yeah, they'll get done. I've done enough that the rest of it will get done one way or another, maybe. Good luck finding someone to have kids with, though. That's all. Dad jail. Yeah. It's a bummer for the world not to have any Lil Johns. Oh, the world has Lil Johns. Look, man. This will get me banned, but...
Let's get this mother crock! Yeah!
Is this like someone's weird video?
Okay!
finding somebody to have kids with in San Francisco. There's a joke there somewhere. There is. I mean, fortunately, I can actually afford a place in San Francisco. So I'm doing better than most people, but like, man, the other parts of it, like even trying to meet someone reasonable in San Francisco is hard. It's just hard. Am I trying to tell you I don't have groupies? Video game programmer groupies are 99.97% male. So like, yeah, if you're gay, it's great. Definitely, I have had women come up to me at places like, PAX or whatever and say, "Oh, I know you. Yeah, my boyfriend really likes your games." And I'm like, "Great, thanks. Bye." That has happened to me a number of times. You have the same chair as me and I'm a software engineer. Do you get really tight, sore behind your shoulder blades or traps? No, I don't. So that might be something about the way that the chair is configured. I mean, I have mine like lean back very easily. So I'm not sure what would make me sore under those conditions. Chartreuse has been in the freezer for 10 minutes. How cold will that make it is the question. Is it cold enough? Oh God. Okay, we have problems. But they might just be timing problems. I'm not sure. Okay. Let's go investigate. So we should be around 59. So we have about 14 extra fails. All right. So, Stone Cross. Yeah, this is going to be... Yeah, like she just didn't... Okay, that didn't involve our code kicking in because that would still... That's a timing change only. All right, let's try solving this. Stone Cross. I like this level. Whoops, that wasn't right. I crossed the wrong stone, bro. Okay, wait. It's like taking longer for stones to start skipping. That's bad. Was that... Let me put the pre-fall back. And see if it changes that. I'm not sure why it would change that. No, we're on Stone Cross. It does. Weird, bro. Huh. Maybe that's something that I forgot about pre-fall. Maybe something that pre-fall does is help with the skipping in some way. Well, we should be able to do that a different way. So I would like to take out the pre-fall no matter what. I should collab with John Carmack to make AI Child for Humanity. I mean, I think the stuff that John's doing, like, I think John is very much wants to follow his own ideas, and I think that I'm very much, I want to follow my own ideas. I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to him about his specific ideas for AI, but like if I was programming, I would want to do my own ideas, I think. So it's just, that's not that good of a recipe for collaboration when both people want to maybe do something different, is all I'm saying, you know? All right. So why, let's just take a look. Why would pre-fall frickin' do this? So pre-fall is like physically moved. I don't get it. I don't know why that would make anything faster. Oh, because, okay. The deal is, the reason it makes it faster is because here, when a character is pushing something, they're both in the same transaction, and the push will not complete till the transaction is over. Okay? Pre-fall lets the transaction, it puts it into a new transaction. After it's committed, right? It just makes makes a separate transaction that lets it just finish. I see. That's so why did that make the block go backwards when we were pushing it off a lily pad? Because it sets the visual start to the entity's current visual position. Maybe that visual start gets reset when something else happens. No, there's definitely undo during gameplay, yeah. Is the rock causing a tidal wave that initiates a lily to move? So what happens is if you drop a rock in a river flow, the river has to like flow around it, right? So it changes the direction of the river. Okay. We're going to get classy up in here. We've got chilled chartreuse and cheese. We're going to have a cheese plate of 365 Whole Foods Market provolone. See, I believe I believe this is even an official cheese knife that I've used to slice this with. It's not really necessary for thin cheese, but it's the right thing to use. Proud to be part of the 0.03% of female groupies. Well, right on. Welcome. I think that's an exaggeration. I think it's more like, I mean, the stats differ depending on what you look at, but like for a YouTube video about programming, I think it's usually about 96% male, right? So four in 100 are women. All right. %4 women. We have a PewDiePie fan in the house. Why not limit the speed of any reference frame? What's my favorite cheese? It depends. Like if it's like on a hamburger or something, pepper jack or maybe Swiss. I would like pepper jacks if they got spicier than people usually make them. So if somebody made like a habanero ghost pepper jack, I would try that. Swiss is good. Provolone's good. Havarti's good. Just by itself, like if I'm gonna have some cheese just by itself or on some crackers or something, I actually like hard cheeses. Like I don't really like the soft, mushy French cheeses. I like the hard cheeses. Okay, serious question I got to go back to here. Why not limit the speed of any reference frame to a rational with a certain maximum denominator and then have the commit interval set to that? That's not necessarily a bad idea, because you could also then make the amount of transaction time for anything in the game land on those, right? The question is, does that actually help with anything? I'm not sure that it does. But I will think about that. That's an interesting idea. Do I like stuff like brie? No, not usually. One time I was watching your stream and you were learning how to speedrun Manifold Garden and someone asked everyone's favorite cheese. I said something that started with an E. Emmentaler. Emmentaler is Swiss cheese, basically. All right. So I want to go back to the raft test and figure out why this was messing up. So we've re-enabled. We may remove pre-fall, or we may make it only happen for skipping stones. See, the thing is, instead of doing a pre-fall, I could just break the exact move into its own transaction. Like, I'm not sure why I made a separate thing called pre-fall. Like, see here, I copy the move and just change the type to pre-fall. That's all. And I say it's blocking the player, which, we probably only want to set that. Anyway, yeah, so this was exactly for the case of skipping stones. That's what this is for. We can make it not happen for non-skipping stones, but the question is, why is it messing up in the other place? Like Jarlsberg? I can do Jarlsberg sometimes. I've had good Jarlsberg and bad Jarlsberg. Let me put it that way. All right. Going back into lurk mode. Well, maybe you're getting good stuff done. Maybe you're just having a good Friday night. Either way, right on. Comte is the one true Swiss French cheese. I do not know what Comte cheese is. I am Comte ignorant. Making them Twitch graphics. Well, okay. Okay, I think Twitch needs graphics. I think that is undisputable. So. Got to compete with Mixer and whatever else. I'm sure Amazon will start a game streaming service soon. Jack Comte Cheese, CEO of Patreon.com. All right, Amazon owns Twitch, right? So who else? Netflix will start a video game streaming service next. Or maybe YouTube will get serious about theirs. Oh, I know they tried already. It's just maybe they'll like do it again. Or maybe Google Stadia will say, well, we already stream all our games. Let's try to get streamers. Nintendo frags. That's just very funny to me for some reason. Nintendo frags. E-Bombs World Gaming. Oh yeah, okay. So what's going on here? What's going on here? Let's start the thing. And we'll go back to raft test and okay, well. Okay, let's actually pause it and we'll go to the place where we make the what's it called? Pre-fall. Pre-fall. There we go. We're just going to break here. And I assume that when we set this, it'll be to somewhere reasonable. let's actually, before we even do it, let's look at the code that runs for pre-falling. Same as elevator, where we just do a visual interpolation. So the visual start has to get changed. I bet somebody changes it. That's what we're going to look for. All right. So we've got a breakpoint. Let's see if we ever get a pre-fall here. Pre-fall. Okay. So we're going to say, what is the address of new single visual starts .x? Here, C Fafi 46C. Add a watch. Wait, no, not add a watch. Add a copy value. New processor breakpoint. There we go. F5. Wait, it didn't. Maybe I didn't see it happen. Let me just. Okay, hold on. Back that bus up. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And we're going to push it here. Let's just see if it happens. Whoops. Yeah, it did. It definitely did. Let's take this breakpoint out for a second so we can see it very clearly. Okay, so I am missing something because my IQ is 51. But I have cheese. It's like Leroy Jenkins. At least I have chicken. Okay. So, did the visual position change first? No. Okay. It's at 3.8 visually. It's going to 4. Our visual start on new single should be 3.8. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to our pre-falling. Here. Oh, it could be the decreased visual error. That's probably it. This function has really not been my friend sometimes. I bet that's it. Let's just see. Okay. Visual error x minus 0.7. I don't even know what this is supposed to mean. Okay. That doesn't actually affect anything. It's only people who use it. Oh. See, we reset the visual start. Okay. Here's the deal. When we set the visual start, we need to set this error to 0, because that error is supposed to be tracking the difference between the current visual position and like where it should be. So, yeah. There we go. See that? I mean, it had a little bit of a slide. Has a little bit of a... What's the city with the slide? But that's fine. It's just sliding it into the right place. That was weird. That was like a serious slide of too far. Oh, it's because it's still being... Like it's still being like supported. All right. At normal speed, it's really not bad. It just looks like a little bit of a kickoff. And that'll improve as we work on these things. I'm gonna retreat that to lower priority problem now. So in theory, so first we're going to Benny test the universe again. If that works, we will have the last of the cheese now. We'll fix the test for that level. Because, you know, of the levels that don't currently test correctly, some of them are because I don't think that, oh, you know what? Before we do that, let's make sure stone cross works. Should work. Yeah. So the timing is fixed. All right. We're Benny testing. Any questions? How are things? Hiccup. How are things going? Rip cheese. I did not cut the cheese or rip the cheese. It's just there isn't any more cheese. That's all. That is all. How am I liking Remedy? Remedy's good. Like it's missing a few things, but they're mostly just sort of minor convenience things. Really. I mean, for the most part, I do not really have any issues with using it for day-to-day work, and that's good. I would definitely recommend trying it if you think you're interested. Rip as in rest in peace cheese since it's gone. I know that. I go to Twitch and watch video game streamers. I know what rip means. Would I ever consider contributing back to the Remedy project? I mean, I'm not a big fan of that development model, that open source development model where random people contribute things. I don't think it's actually that useful. I think, I think the person in charge of the project is going to do the majority of the useful work, honestly. And if that person has a team, then that team will do the majority of the useful work. That's just how it is. That's ice happening. So my question is, if my refrigerator just made ice, but I haven't made ice in like 2 years, how much do I trust that it's clean, and how much should I just dump some of the initial ice because it's like whatever was in the edge of the pipe? I'm going to dump it. I'm going to dump all the ice that it makes tonight. But have I changed the filter? No. Do I even know where the filter is? Check the logs from my refrigerator. What's the point in asking? You get skipped every time. If you put an at me, it's easier for me to see things. But you asked it at the wrong time. How do you handle the sheer complexity of such a massive program and not feel deathly overwhelmed? You build up to it. If I were in high school and trying to deal with this program, my head would explode. But I had gradually worked on more and more complex things. And yeah. Now look, the Beatles is from Guitar Hero. I played Guitar Hero Beatles. I played Rock Band Beatles. That's a real thing. Are there any plans to update Braid to work on the newer macOS? We have something in the works that'll help with that, but it won't happen for a little bit, unfortunately. Have we found a backup plan for announcing the new game? Not yet. Not yet. What should you do in your 20s to become an excellent engineer? You want to work on hard problems that are interesting to you and that are at the edge of your abilities. You always want to be, expanding your abilities. It's in Rock Band, but it's not from Rock Band. Yeah, it is. When people say they're the lads from Liverpool, right? They mean that when you sit there and play video games all day, it's bad for your liver, etc. "96% of programming video viewers are men." I guess YouTube is diversity and inclusion. Let me check this now. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube lies about stats now, but let's find out. My channel on YouTube. Let's see. I'm sure they've moved things around like 10 million times. I don't want COVID-19 resources. I don't want get rid of all this stuff. Views are up 414% because I actually started posting things again. Analytics. Views are up. Yay. Yeah, so audience. What is my audience? A lot of people are subscribed to the channel. There we go. 95.6% male, according to YouTube. Yeah, what percent dogs? Nobody knows if you're a dog. Why don't they have a dog category? Cats are smarter than dogs, so they should have a cat category. And now everybody knows that people in America own big cats like lions and leopards and stuff. So there should be like a lion leopard. It's because I'm not handsome enough. It's true. Yeah, sadly. USA only 23%. That's pretty interesting. India 6%. That's a little bit surprising, but I guess there's a lot of programmers. That's a big thing there. Although watch time is very short. There just must be some clip that somebody in India passed around or some very short video. That's really interesting. Latvia represent. Average view duration 1 minute. Is that just bots? Like, what is that? Who's gonna 1 minute? See Hungary on there. I don't know anything about Hungary. I've met some Hungarians in my life, but that's it. Whoops, I closed the window. I thought I was going back. I tried hitting back, it didn't work, so I closed it, and now it's gone. Modern web. India is where a lot of the view bots are hosted. Okay. Why? Why would there be a bunch of view bots? Like, what is that for? Like, what are people gaining from that? Because, like, none of my videos have ads, so it's not like pumping up view time. Although maybe if people want to pump up their own ads, you disguise that by having the bots also watch a bunch of other channels to make it less obvious that they're bots or that it's fraud. Yeah. Will we make our company's website available via Gopher? Dude, I've been trying to get our new website going for like 2 years, and the web is so broken that it's so much effort to just do a simple thing now. Like, it's just hard to get anyone to just frickin' do it. We have Abner, I think, got it almost there, but without like spending time reviewing it, I can't just push the button because a disaster will probably happen. I do M&M ads. Yeah, that's true. How are we on the Benny test? Oh, we're done. 59 fails. That's the exact amount. All right. So I said we were going to go and do a couple raft things. Raft corners and raft corners 4x4. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this. I don't normally try pushing from up here. All right. So like this one does not have dragons on it. Raft Corners 4x4 has frickin' dragons, dude. Whoops. I just wanted to get back on the thing. And then, okay, I want to push the other block. This level isn't that interesting. I want to do a bunch in this series. I have a bunch of ideas of what to do with this. All right, so this one wants to go like on the right middle. All right. I think. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No! Okay, it's got to go on the bottom right. Whoops, I rewound too far. Or the game didn't give me an intermediate rewind point. So this has to go on the bottom right, and then I have to be on the middle right. That's one thing that's interesting about this level is, like, where do I... Wait, I have to be here? No, there. There we go. Ba-boom, ba-boom. Oh, I didn't make it. Now I got to go around again. Oh, I wish I could just run up the thing. Can't do it though. Okay, let's see if that plays back. Wait, did I not record it? That didn't look like anything that I did. Did I not record it? Am I a big butt? I'm just going to wait for this to come around because it doesn't help me to push it on early. How do you do automated testing of your game? Is it something you've discussed in the past? Yeah, I mean, I just record, like right now I'm recording a solution to this level. And that gets used in, whoops, that gets used in tests. All right, and then we play it back later. That's a bit of a stress test for the playback. It could be, you know, one of the bugs is that playback is not totally jellical in all situations. And so the question is, why not? And does that apply here? Yeah, the shadow system doesn't totally work. So that it's something that we'll do in better detail later. How does the game know to do a time versus non-timed recording? Well, some entity types are inherently timed, like a lily pad or a skipping stone. If you see one of those, you know, oh, see, it didn't reproduce correctly that time. And this time it did. So there's some kind of bug, like there it didn't. See, there's some kind of bug still that we're gonna have to work on. So that'll be an intermittent result. So I'm not going to bother recording the other one yet because the bug might involve the save data. But this is good. Okay, so we've got some no check-ins about some things. Right, okay. So let's try this. And then we were going to comment, pre-fall is used to split a skipping stone into its own transaction when launched by a push. We don't want to wait for the player transaction to complete because that is pretty slow! Exclamation point. Great. So for now, the decision is we are keeping pre-falling. So I cannot worry about that thing on my list about potentially getting rid of pre-falling. Okay, what other? I know I've got some more no check-ins and some other. There we go. Remove pre-fall, and the answer is no, no, no. We could do this though, just to double check. Because you don't necessarily want to do pre-fall if you're pushing something. Like this is, let's try making this literally only for skipping stones. I don't know if this will mess something else up, but okay. What did I do wrong? Oh, moving on to water. E, comma, target. All right, so we're going to try this on, firstly, raft test here, I guess. Oh no, we'll try stone cross. Does it still work? Yeah. Okay, how about raft test? That was jellicle. Boom. Boom. So in this case, we're not making a pre-fall. And so we don't have that weird drag out that we had. So this is actually a little bit better. You know what, though? This is a major enough change. We're going to have to do another Benny test. This is great, though. We're getting very good consistency. Okay, so we're going to take out our code kicked in. We're going to make another release build, and we're going to Benny test again. And we're just going to be casually chatting in the chat. All right, doing it again. Doing it again. How's it going in chat, everybody? What about accept move commands only in certain time intervals to avoid situations like block teleporting to the center of cell when pushing cell edge, and if control command issued too late, accepted in next interval, might feel a little laggy. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is we don't want the game to feel laggy at all. Part of the thesis is that the feel of the game is very, very, very important, right? Like, if you hit the key, the character should begin moving as close to immediately as possible. That is huge. That is huge in terms of how a game feels to play. And so that's why we're going through all this effort. For the environmental puzzles in the witness, did you do a kind of screen space flood fill? No, you don't really want to do screen space for things like that, because then you start having weird dependencies on things like screen resolution or whatever. You just want to you want it to be data in the world and not data on the screen, basically. When you made the auditory part of the witness, what was the main reason for having puzzles reset on a failure? Yeah, it's to prevent brute forcing. Do you prefer polycle playthrough? I have no idea what that means. I didn't actually see Cats, if that is something from Cats. Most bugs come from not writing tests. I think that's reductive. That is reductive. We had very little in the way of automated tests on the witness, and we had very few bugs. We did have 1 or 2 serious bugs, but very few considering the complexity of the game and the size of the team. Why was the witness 30 FPS on Xbox One? Because sometimes that's all you can do, given the hardware. Like, the game was spec'd to render certain things on the screen, and how fast can you render that stuff on given hardware? It's not my fault that the Xbox One is slower than PS4. Get an Xbox One X. Get a PC, you know? I mean, you can't magically make a game 60 FPS. Like, it's like, yes, we would have preferred it to be 60 FPS, but it couldn't be and draw the things that it drew. So, like, we could rebuild the entire game for that platform or release it at 30 FPS. What do you think we're going to do as a small independent studio? As graphics cards get more powerful, do you see pre-baked lighting disappearing, or will the runtime performance benefit always be worth it? I think pre-baked lighting will disappear eventually because it's a pain in the ass and less accurate than real-time lighting. However, real-time lighting is really slow, and to even reach parity with the scene quality that you get from pre-baked lighting will take a while. And so until that point, I think you'll still see pre-baked lighting. But eventually, yes, I think pre-baked lighting goes away. The same way, so way back in the old days, in the early days of 3D games, artists used to paint shading into the textures for characters and objects because it looked better that way. And then once we got enough real-time lighting and enough geometric detail, that became the wrong thing to do. It's like that. You managed to fall out the boat in the witness. Yeah, that is the one serious bug that we shipped that was a gameplay bug, unfortunately. How do you avoid getting sucked into rewriting years-old code now that you now know could be much better? Well, I mean, if it's shipped, man. Define frames per second 60. Hummus has the right idea. Right, we forgot to define frames per second to be 60. God, I'm so stupid. Why didn't we just do that? Why didn't we define it to be like 107? Define frames per second to be 107. That's way better than 30. Does Witness run at 120 on PC? It depends on your PC. What was the size of the team for the Witness? For the main team, it was probably 8 or 9 people most of the time. At one point, we were up to, if you just counted everybody random who was contributing to the game, including part-time, a few hours a week or whatever, we probably got up to about 22 people at one point. Does the 1X version do 60 FPS? I don't actually remember. You have a tech lead on your team that programs in a way that no one can read his code and no one besides him can write it without going into detail. It's a lot of hiding code behind dependencies that he wrote and reusing them and making metric tons of bash profile. That sounds bad. Is this inherently wrong? I mean, you see some benefits such as his coding time is extremely fast, but honestly, it irks me to have to spend an hour to figure out where anything is happening. I mean, like, if things are glued together with bash scripts, that does not sound like good software to me. But it depends. I mean, it's not really enough information for me to answer because, like, what is he doing and what do you consider fast? And how do you know if the quality of what he's making is good or not, right? And if no one besides him can modify these things, how bad is it when he quits and nobody can figure out what's going on? Is that fine? For some situations, it might be fine. For other ones, it might be really bad. It might be company killing bad, right? So all those things matter. Are you using PBR? I mean, PBR means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Are there certain advantages to playing The Witness on the PC versus PS4? I think the main thing is just, well, which PS4 do you have, right? A PS4 regular or PS4 Pro? PS4 Pro renders LODs closer because it has more processing power. But the biggest difference is just controls. Like, do you want to play with a mouse and keyboard or do you want to play with a gamepad? I mean, you can, of course, play with a gamepad on PC as well, right? But just if you want to play with a mouse and keyboard, it's PC. You only meant there presumably could have been a resolution compromise. You could have allowed for 60. No, not really. It wasn't. Not really. There are many dimensions that you can adjust, right? Resolution is one dimension, but in a game like The Witness, how many triangles are in the scene is another dimension, right? And how much texture memory are you using is another dimension. And some of those are hard to adjust. Like how many triangles are in the scene, you can't really automatically adjust without having a crappy game. So we would have to like remake everything, which we did for mobile. We had lower resolutions of all the assets for mobile, but those are probably too low to ship on a console like Xbox One, right? It's so, and we would have also had to delay the game like a year until those were ready. So it is what it is. Do I have to do any work for Witness to run on Scarlet? You know, I actually am not 100% sure what the status is of that. I need to look it up. 58 fails. Okay, so we are good. We are good. We're going to commit this version of it. Alrighty, so what did we do? We fixed problems involving pushing stones off rafts, tightened the circumstances in which we engage, pre-fall, re-recorded test for raft corners. God, don't autocomplete if I don't tell you to. Just let me hit enter. And it's so obnoxious, dude. It's the one thing I hate about Tortoise SVN. Now, I had a fourth thing I was going to type, but now I don't remember what it was because the fucking program distracted me. Re-recorded the test for raft corners. Oh, we added pause. Added pause, unpause to developer.keymap. Bam. You can spot quite a lot of banding in the witness. How come it slips in through so many games? Okay, so the deal is banding tends to occur when you have very subtle gradients in a scene. It's just your eye catches it a lot more, right? So to avoid that, you tend to like dither things or something. Like I assume you mean with the sky in the witness. That's probably the biggest place. Although our puzzle backgrounds often have smooth gradients. I don't know. I mean, it's a trade-off. It's not like it's necessarily easy to solve banding without changing what you're actually rendering or changing your rendering pipeline completely. They added an option to disable the autocomplete. Well, that's too bad because I don't set options in software. It has to be reasonable as shipped, or else I'll eventually get frustrated with it and switch to something else. Like, yeah, like having a bunch of bad behavior and requiring me to set all these settings to get it to behave reasonably, and then redoing that on every computer I use, which is like 5 different computers, every time I reinstall it or update it or whatever, or like a Windows update removes that. Yeah, it's just, no, I just don't do it. I refuse. It's how I maintain my self-respect as a human being. No more banding if you have 32 bits per channel. Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of rendering engines render as like float 16 now behind the hood or whatever. More than 8 bits per channel. And in a lot of cases, you could get away without banding. It's just, it depends on a lot of particulars, right? And for something like The Witness, we kind of want consistent results across platforms. So we try to stay away from back buffer form or off-screen buffer formats that that might not be available, right? Or that we wouldn't be able to approximate with other formats. It's complicated. And that's the kind of decision that you maybe change a little bit with every generation of game. Have I seen this one? Oh, that's a lecture. Wait. Frame rate independence. Wow, that's so long ago now. Any plans to do more game design talks? Maybe. Don't you rewrite the back end for each new platform? Yes, but if the point is you have to be able to approximate the same system with the new back end. If you can't, then you're in trouble. Why is it called an off-screen buffer? Because it's... So in original rendering, you had 2 buffers. You had the front buffer and the back buffer. And the front buffer was what is currently visible to the monitor as it scans the picture out, right? And the back buffer was the pixels that you're in the middle of changing and changing and changing, right? And the reason you have 2 different ones is because you don't want the user to see all the triangles drawing in on top of each other or whatever. You just want them to see the finished thing. Otherwise, it looks crappy, right? So we had this 2 buffer system. But then eventually, you want to be able to do work on more buffers, like scratch buffers, that you then use to eventually put things in the back buffer. And so those tend to be called off-screen buffers or whatever. They're just other, like the back buffer is sort of an off-screen buffer, except it represents the screen. So they're just other buffers that are not officially the back buffer. Do we have a PS5 dev console? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to answer that question. In your experience, shader modding, adding dither, if you're truncating from a higher bit depth to a lower bit depth is crucial. yeah. Um, yeah, maybe we should have added some dithering to the witness. I feel like we maybe did, and it just wasn't enough for some cases. I don't know. When's the last time I played game 3? It's been a long time. Years. It's been years. It's been years. Which is why we got to get some of this stuff done so we can move on to other things. But we are getting stuff done, and that's good. I think we're in a good shape. I think this is where we leave off for today. We've done almost 6 hours of streaming today, and I did a bunch of work before the stream as well. Am I going to try Valorant? No, I am not. So there's some things that I want to do this weekend, so we'll maybe do more streams. I want to do more improvements of some of these visual effects. There's at least one more major gameplay bug that I want to hit. Maybe we'll try to figure out why playback is not consistent. Maybe not. Yeah, a lot of tweaking of the visuals to make them nicer, like the transaction visuals. And then I want to do that deprecation scrub probably tomorrow. So all these deprecated entity members that we see, I want to just save out every entity to make sure it's the newest version. And then I want to delete all of these because it'll just help. Like, look at all these. Look at all that crap. So we'll just do that. Remarch missed. Thank you, everybody, for coming by. I'm sure if you go to Science and Technology right now, there will be people doing the Ludum Dare Game Jam, or however you pronounce that. And I'm sure somebody is working on things. And yeah, we'll probably stream tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Is it Ludum Dare or Ludum Dare? Oh, Lana's on? If Lana's on, we'll raid Lana. Although I'm sure everybody's quitting. Let me see. Science and Technology. Oh, she is. Oh, she's doing a Ludum whatever. So let's go there. Goodbye, everybody. Good night. See you later. I hope Lana's working on something interesting, or else.